Sometimes I dream about like movies, except they're not real, I don't think. But it's weird because they look exactly like a real movie could be. And there was like this fox on a boat and he was like, saw a seagull and he was waving to him, and then he dropped his map in the water and the seagull took it from him.
Why do you think we have dreams?
Basically like sleepwalking, except you're thinking when you're asleep. But I bet you're thinking about something that's probably real. Like your mind, you probably don't know it when you're awake because you're learning stuff, but I bet something like makes you learn. It helps you learn. Your mind's like a teacher. It could be.
So while you're sleeping, your mind is still teaching you things, just in a different way?
Dreams, I have dreams when I'm awake, when I'm asleep.
Because I do believe in the Jungian and Freudian psychoanalytic interpretive theory that parts of yourself that are hidden to your waking life are visible in your dream life. And if you can figure out the connection between that, you will broaden your self-knowledge, because I think a lot of our conscious life is self-deception, and we're constantly deceiving ourselves. Others are deceiving us, we're deceiving others, and within that I think the dreams hold a little truth, because the deceiving part of us goes to sleep. That's the part that can be deceived, and the part that deceives and self-deceives goes to sleep, and what comes out is something that may be actually true, although we hardly recognize it. We're so far from knowing what truth is, we are so steeped in deception of all kinds that we don't know the truth when we see it. So it looks, oh God, that was just bizarre. It was a dream. I dreamed my mother was naked and she was shopping in the Walmart at night and she was buying me pool tables, right? I mean, what does that, how can that be truth?
I think we dream because we're creative and like imaginative by nature, and there are things that we don't see that affect us like throughout our day, and like they're the subconscious, like the underlying things. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I was prone to getting strep throat, and I had it for like a week once, and I had this dream that I'd have every night during that sickness, and it was about my mother. And this is a dream that stuck with me like throughout the years. I've always remembered it. So I was in a public park with my mother and my best friend's mother. My mom was reading a magazine, and she was really into Clay Aiken and American Idol, and she saw him in the magazine and said, "I love Clay Aiken." And a policeman had overheard her. He's a very round, pudgy man, and he came up to her and he said, "Ma'am, are you married?" And she said, "Oh, of course I am. Like, this is my daughter." And he was like, "Well, you just said you love Clay Aiken, so I'm gonna have to arrest you." So he takes her away from me, and I'm looking around for her. It's a very colorful park. And so I find the police station, and I say to the policeman, and I'm like, "Where's my mom? I want to see her." And he said, "I'm really sorry, I didn't want to do this." And so I go back into the cells, and it's like a glass cell with bars, and they had taken her arms and legs off and attached chains and put her on a stationary bicycle, and every rotation that went around, there was a sink and a toilet and a tub, and it would overflow every time, and then that was it.
I have a recurring dream that I haven't had that much lately. And so what happens in the dream is sometimes I'm alone, sometimes with other people, and I'm in a building, or maybe on the outside of the building, and there are stairs. And I go up the stairs, and it's always one of these, you know, like in these ancient houses where the stairs, and there's a landing, and there's another set of stairs, and another landing, and they go up, and they go up, and they go up. And sometimes I get to go down a little bit, but then I'm going up and up and up. And no matter how much I look, and I know this sounds weird, I can't find the way down. So I think of this as my, fear of success dream, my accomplishment anxiety dream, because it seems to always happen when I'm feeling overwhelmed by what I'm doing or I'm about to start something new that's very scary.
Science says, it's like the grand we, the grand science says that we dream to prepare us for things that happen in reality. I was walking up the stairs of my childhood home, and it was really, really cold, and everything inside the childhood home, it was dark. There was no life in there, which just wasn't something that happened. And I remember walking up the stairs, and all of a sudden this plant grew out of the stairs. And I walked over to it, because it was the only thing there, and it was in the middle of the night in the dream. But there was light coming down at the plant, and it was snowing, but not where the plant was. So I went over and I touched it, and this lily grew out of it, like in this amazing spiraling formation, and it was this beautiful black and blue and purple lily with the golden stamen, and it was absolutely gorgeous.
It started long before I can even really remember. I've had it almost my whole life, but it all started out as me being inside of a transparent bubble. I was kind of like floating as a bubble would. And next to me was my sister in her own little bubble. And as I grew in real life, my sister would grow in the dream. And there was a generator, and somehow I knew at the age of 3 that this was an electricity generator, and that it worked by having one magnet rotate inside of another. And it was a long cylinder, a cylindrical hollow magnet with a cylindrical magnet inside. And one would rotate one way and one would rotate the other. And they would generate a ton of current. And if this generator touched, it was keeping, I guess there must have been other bubbles, but it was keeping our bubbles alive. But if it touched the bubble, then it would electrocute whatever was inside and kill whatever was in there. And this generator was always really close to my sister's bubble. And I was always worried that it would get her. I actually think dreaming is is a complex emotion. That like cancer or like love or like hate or any of these other things, which are actually many, they're like semantic groupings, and we confuse semantic groupings with actual groupings. I think dreams are that way as well. That that there are lots of different kinds of dreams and lots of different reasons that we dream.
We try to piece together what the truth is that our nocturnal or hidden part of ourselves is trying to tell. We treat it as communication from the unconscious, from your unconscious to you. Your unconscious is repressed and unavailable for most people. The unconscious is unavailable by literal. That's what unconscious means, right? On the whole, you walk around with a great part of you like an iceberg. Well, you know this. A great part of you like an iceberg, untouched and unknown. And that's another element of self-deception, right? You don't even know who you are, basically. And then you sleep, and that element of yourself attempts to communicate some stuff to you.